Hey everyone! Welcome to Can't Draw Horses Club. I'm Corey, and joining me today is Amora.
Hello.
Uh, I have done the usual and prepared a tiny presentation for what our topic will be today, so uh, bear with me through this slideshow. Ah! No, spoilers. Ahem. Today's topic is Clip Studio Paint, the piece of software. To give you a bit of background on it, it was released in 2001 as Manga Studio North America, originally made for just doing like black and white panels. And later, like 6 years later, they added color support.
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I think it also went through like three different companies
Oh wow. It
before
was, it was
being
sorry,
on
go ahead.
that. No, I can't remember the name of the company that does it now. It's Cystic or something like that.
I think yeah, because it started out with a guy, right? Like it was just a dude making it,
Yeah.
and then that company bought it. But that's what I thought happened and nothing else.
Uh, so what can I do with it is a question that everyone is asking, despite knowing what I can do with it. Uh, um, and this was just an exploration of the brushes that are available by default, and not any of the other, like, major features of the software.
That's amazing.
So it's time to explore. That's it. That's the whole presentation.
Perfect.
Yeah. So yeah, there's tons of features in the thing that I have never used. Some of the features are locked between like the Pro and the X version, but I think I just have the Pro. Yes, it says Pro at the top. I have Pro.
Okay. Is X the bigger one?
Yeah, X is the bigger one.
Okay. I
But
don't know if there are many. Like I remember like getting X because I needed more frames for an animation instead
yeah,
of
yeah, it's
stuff like
got like
that.
more of the animation features and 3D model stuff, which
Yeah,
again for a painting program ostensibly is a lot.
yeah, yeah. So it usually happens when you're already familiar with it and you know for sure that you're gonna use it a lot. That's when you take that step. So I think it's a nice like threshold for people to choose.
Right. So, where would you like to start?
Well, I made a little list yesterday of things that I think are cool. Um, cool Clip Studio stuff.
All right.
Is my screen showing?
Oh, there's a list. Time
Yeah.
lapse. Oh,
Yeah, so time lapse is the thing that I just discovered because it's from the latest update, and it's something that I thought was really cool on Procreate on the
right.
iPad.
Yeah, I've had certain guests flex on me with their time lapse skills on
Yeah, right.
Procreate. Yeah.
It's so amazing, and so now they just added it, and it just have to go on File and um, set record time
Oh,
lapse, and that's it.
time lapse. Record time lapse.
So I don't know if yours is gonna have it because it has to be the latest update. I think it's something dot 10 instead of 9.
Whee! All right. And then how do I play back?
Then when you're ready, and it's gonna record no matter if you have to close the file and open again. It's within the file itself.
Okay.
So then when you're ready, you just go to time lapse export, and it's gonna show you the options of how you want your video.
Oh, so I can downscale it a bit and make it square. Oh,
So yeah, that's something that I thought was cool that they added. You also can just when you're creating a new file, I think it's, oh yeah, it's right here on the bottom.
oh,
Right.
okay. Sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it just does the warning about the file size being huge.
Yeah. And then you say, shut up, I don't want to know that. So that's pretty cool. Very simple. Okay, I've done that one. Command bar. I don't know if you've ever messed with that.
No.
It's this part on top. I don't know if you can see my cursor. Or
Yeah,
maybe not.
you've got a
Yeah.
few things up there that I don't have.
Yeah. So that's something that I thought was pretty cool. So you can choose stuff that you do a lot to just have like sort of shortcuts for those things in there, right? So because I've been drawing something that uses a lot of black and white, I don't want to have my, like, sometimes I don't want to have my is it palette or palette? How do you say
Both.
the?
It's both.
It's both. Okay. I don't have my colors here at all times. Like I want to be able to have other things because I don't know if you noticed, but like my my station is very tiny. I don't have a lot of space for a lot of windows.
Okay.
So I just added those both colors right here for white and black. Um, all you have to do is click with your right button there and say and go to command bar settings, and then you can choose anything that you use a lot of and just put it there.
Okay.
So let's say I want to have a new file shortcut. I say add. Now it's there,
Oh,
and then you can change the order. You can drag it. For me, it's control drag for it to work.
control drag. Yep. Yep.
You have this divider that you can add if you want.
Oh, add divider. Wait, it's not giving me. Do I have to do it? Oh, yeah. So if you click in the middle of a group, then you can add the divider.
I think you have to click. Oh yeah, in the bar itself,
Yeah.
and then you can also make like customized icons for it. If you go in its settings, icon settings, and you say specify image file, you can draw a little thing. You can draw like a little flower or whatever you want, and replace it with that, which I think is really cute.
That is very cute.
Some people have their command bars with a bunch of little icons that they made it themselves. It's adorable. So
It's like having a custom keyboard with like little frogs on it or something.
yeah, exactly. So mine are to crop because sometimes what I like to do is I'll make the selection and this is what I want the new file to be. So I just click there to cut. Um, and also all the different ways that you can export a animation instead of going to file export and choosing. I know these here, like one is GIF, the other one is image sequence. I also have
Right.
a change settings for when I'm animating, and I keep changing the the settings for how long I want the frames to last. So instead of going all the way to find it, I also have it right there. Stuff like that.
That's really useful, especially like just being able to add your current color up there.
Yeah, it's a good shortcut because I would keep the swatches just for two colors that I'm using. It's a whole window that's there for nothing. You know about drawing with transparency, right?
I don't
Instead of
necessarily know what you mean by that.
Well, it's something that I know that Photoshop doesn't have, so I don't know. Like for Clip Studio, it instead of switching to the eraser tool, you can just keep the same brush that you're using, but change it to be transparent.
Oh,
Have you?
cool.
Yeah, that's super cool. That's like the first thing that I. This is the first reason I wanted to stick with Clip Studio because I don't necessarily want to have a different brush for eraser every time.
Right.
I just
Yeah,
want to
but
be
I've
able
I've
to.
definitely seen people produce art that uh is on like a colored background and then they have like the fabric folds and something will be like the color through and
Mhm.
That I think is exactly how you would do that, because keeping the brush settings.
Yeah, it's exactly the same brush, but it's like you're using a paint that's now magically transparent.
How do you do that? Is there you just
So,
like
do you have your color swatches down here,
yeah.
or whatever? So the third one is the transparent.
Oh,
So what you do is to switch between your two colors, you hit X. This is going to switch between the two colors that you have. But if you hit C, it goes to transparent.
oh, that
Did
is
it
so
work?
cool.
Yeah. I wish every art program had that because it's really useful.
Yeah, because and yeah, just applying that to the layer you're working on is ah, that's got a lot of utility. That's very useful.
Yeah, it's very useful. Um, for me, it's very rare that I go and use the eraser. I can't remember the last time I did that. So yeah, that's what's next on my list. It's brushes. So brush. You said you were messing with the default brushes, and I think they're pretty great already.
Yeah.
Like I've been trying to mess with some brushes that I bought,
Okay.
but I always end up going back to my main brush here, which is called arrumalinha in Portuguese,
Okay.
because it's very old. Um, in English, it would be something like the line fixer, because I used to use it just to make my lines prettier back in 2013. And now I just use it for everything. I just draw with it, and I kept the name for nostalgic reasons. But all we did was just get one of the main brushes that comes with the program, and tweak it a little bit,
Right.
because you can do that if you go to if you select it and go to
The brush
uh,
subproperties.
yeah, the subproperties. You can do whatever you want here, and then you can save on top of it. But what you usually want to do is copy it first. You duplicate it, you
Instead of
name it.
overwriting your original and losing it forever.
Yeah, I think you don't lose it forever if you open it again and you say resets to default.
Right. Okay.
But I'm not sure. So here, just give it a new name, and now you're free to do whatever you want with it, and then save. The other day, I needed to draw. Um, there was a character that I was drawing that had a lot of beads around him, and I remember going here somewhere, brush tip, yeah, and stroke, and choosing this option here, which adds a gap.
Oh.
Yeah. So, but it was a rounder brush, and then it was way easier to draw the beads, because I was doing one by one. Then I remember there was a setting for like how spaced you want your brush to be. That reminds me of another cool thing that I think every art program probably has, but I don't know if you've done it before, which is if you go on your layer properties
Right.
and you choose an effect, and the effect is this first one is a border effect. What I do is I say I want this border effect to be black and to have, I don't know, a 5 pixel size, and then whatever you draw on that layer will have that effect. So now what I'm drawing here with this pink has a border,
Right.
and you can change it afterwards too.
Yeah, I have set layer colors so that like all of the ink, all the marks you make are that color.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Yeah,
think you
that's
can
useful too.
use it to do like half tones and stuff like that.
I think so. I've never done that. But yeah, this is something that I use a lot. How would you do
With
that? Like, you said you pick a color, so everything that you draw on the layer is going to be that color.
yeah, it's in the layer properties, it's the layer color one.
Mm-hmm. But what do you use that for?
Just making sure you can see all the marks you're making. Like if I was doing this in Photoshop, I would set like an effect to do a color overlay
Mm-hmm.
on a layer, like if I'm making my lines red or something like that, just so
Oh,
they
I
pop,
see.
and then you can disable it afterwards so that it's either your ink color or whatever else.
Yeah. Okay, that's pretty useful. Oh, that's exactly what I do here. That's the same thing. Change layer color. Oh, okay.
Okay.
There's a shortcut for it here. Because I was gonna say just do this instead. It's the same thing, but
It's
it's
exactly the
it's
same thing.
actually the same thing. Oh, okay, yeah. That's something that I think it's something that I didn't used to do, and I'm learning now to do it. It's just when you're working on a bunch of layers, like you said, it's just better to keep your eyes um, not as confused because then you can have a. I usually use it for a sketch layer kind of thing, right? Like you have your
Yeah.
sketch here, then you say, okay, this is so there's no confusion.
Yeah.
But yeah, I used to just change the opacity, and then I would still get really confused. And when you're animating and you have two drawings that are almost the same, and you're trying to find the middle, and they both have the same color, it's very confusing. So
Yeah.
okay, that's cool to know that it's a shortcut for that option there. So yeah, brushes are pretty easy to install once you buy them, but it's funny. I always end up doing that. I get a bunch of new brushes and just end up going back to the default ones. I did the same thing in Procreate.
And I think you can like install Photoshop brushes too.
I think you can.
Pretty sure it has support for that, but I don't have any brushes laying around.
Yeah, I can give you some. I can give you the link for the package with the brush that I got. They're pretty they're pretty good. There's some like very artsy ones,
Right.
like just trying
Different
to
inks.
yeah stuff like that. Um, there's some watercolory ones that I like that I use quite a bit. Or like when I'm doing concept art and it's very rough, I usually like filling the where it's supposed to be darker with this brush because I think it looks neat.
Okay.
But it's nothing like super necessary or.
It's just a choice.
Yeah, whenever you feel like trying something more artsy, then I feel like when you're an illustrator or a real artist, like I like to say, you end up using a bunch of different brushes because you're making this complicated, beautiful art. But I never went to that sort of path. Like I love illustration, of course, and I would do it if I need to for like a cover art or
Yeah.
something. But I always end up doing other stuff like just concept art for a character or animating a little portrait or something. So I end up not doing those more complex pieces of art.
Yeah, the very painterly digital stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're
Do you ever
gorgeous.
do like vector art?
I do sometimes. Um, I feel like the vector stuff in Clip Studio is very friendly. It's friendlier than in other programs that I've tried because pretty much all you have to do is instead of creating a new normal layer, you just do a new vector layer, and that's it. Now this is vector.
Wee.
You can still keep all of your favorite brushes. um, some years ago, it had this very annoying thing that if you painted with transparency with the C tool,
Right.
it would count that as solid. Like you would add vector points around the transparent thing that you did. So that's when I had to start using Eraser. But I think they fixed that because the other day I tested it out and it was treating the transparent color as
As a not
empty.
a shape.
Yeah. So even that is not a problem anymore. And so for things that you think you're gonna want to stretch out, like sometimes you're making a key art for a game and you're not sure what you're gonna use it for, all the ways that people are gonna, all the formats, all the
Right.
sizes. It's
Yeah.
nice to do at least the line art in Vector. The color doesn't matter much if it gets blurry because it's gonna be the edges are gonna be beneath the liner and it's easy enough to like tweak. But having the liner in Vector is something that I'm trying on the new game that we're working on. I'm trying that on the portraits because I want to double them as promo art later and have them
Right.
as big as we might need, right?
Is that Earthblade or a different new game?
Earthblade,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I'm trying. So in Celeste, we had very tiny portraits. Like it was just their tiny faces and it was
Yeah.
really zoomed in. But for Earthblade, I'm trying to make them really big and have them more like, draw them full body, have them in the game like a bust sort of thing, but then still keep the full body art to double as promo or just, we're introducing the character somewhere or have an encyclopedia of characters or something. You just want to.
Yeah, like the Towerfall portraits. Like just
Yeah,
tall, more
yeah,
full body.
yeah, exactly like that, but high res.
Ooh, fancy.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. It's a little uh, much. It's a little big for just one person, but thanks to Clip Studio, it's been actually easier than I thought it would be.
Like just iterating on stuff like once you have kind of an idea, trying to do it for like all of the characters.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
good.
having like a consistent operation. But we'll see. Um, Lasso fill, Lasso fill
It's
tool
another thing I've seen people use on Procreate.
on Procreate, really?
I think so. I'm pretty sure they do like a draw tool fill, like a
Oh,
like a
nice.
arbitrary polygons kind of thing.
Oh, yeah. I think I've seen videos of that on TikTok, but I've never found it in the program.
All right, so lasso fill.
So lasso fill is something that I also discovered very recently. Um, what I used to do is like you have a shape. I don't know what this is.
Yeah, and then you take
Let's
your brush and you fill it in.
exactly. That there's some people who use some plugins or even Clip Studio's own uh, fill tool, like bucket tool, and it's pretty smart. Like it's
There's a lot of settings like you can set gaps so that it doesn't
yeah,
bleed out of like if you're doing hair
yeah.
and your lines just aren't all connecting.
It's pretty smart, and it recognizes where it should stop coloring. But so my problem is when I remove the line art layer and I see that the color it has a bunch of tiny transparent pixels, even though they're going to be hidden under the line and no one's going to see, it makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah, I've seen some the edges on my stuff. It's just like it's so messy under the line.
Under the line, yeah. So it's like it's fine, but I'd rather have it, nice and solid. And it's actually I actually don't mind having the extra effort. I think it's relaxing when I'm coloring. I like that doing that part.
Right?
So what I used to do, the way that I'm used to coloring is I would go to my selection tool, usually the lasso, and select everything that I want to color. and then fill it, right?
Right.
But what the lasso fill does is it just saves you all those steps and just does it for you. So I'm not sure where it is because I have it on my I
On
have
your
a
top bar.
shortcut.
Yeah.
Not a top bar, but I have like my K does that.
Oh,
I think it's probably in fill. No, it's not. We're gonna have to Google that. What it does is, as you finish selecting, it just fills for you.
so there's just like one fewer step.
Yeah, actually a few fewer because you would select it, then you have the selection, then you have to go to fill, and then you have to deselect, right? So this you just draw on top and it does it for you. You don't have to worry about selecting, deselecting. And sometimes I would select and then hide and then forget that I had a hidden selection and be annoyed that it's not working. So yeah, this is how I usually do it and then check to see that everything is uh, solid, no gaps.
Okay.
If, yeah, if you control click the layer, it does that for you. It selects everything that's on that layer. And then yeah, you just do that for every color. Sometimes in different layers, depending if it's an animation. I like to keep it all separated because I want to be able to change colors later if it's not working in the game. Yeah, and then you can always lock the transparency in your layer when you're done, when the base color is done, and that's this option here, lock transparency.
Okay.
But it's usually your shortcut for it is usually the question mark key.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's very useful too because now that's locked and you don't have to worry about it leaking. It's only gonna work on what's already there, completely ignoring the empty space.
Nice.
Yeah, it goes really fast. When we were part of a game jam last year. I think it was Ludundare,
Okay.
and it was just so fast to color everything like that. Because I would have like a character here.
Yay.
Yeah. And I would say, okay, this is my color, my base color layer, right? And I would do the whole sprite like this. And then I would create one layer on top of that, say that it's clipped
Right.
like this.
Okay.
So it only, it doesn't leak through the what's already painted there. And I would just leave that layer there because now every layer that I create between those two is going to be clipped as well. So it's one other step that I'm saving. Like every layer that I do here is going to be clipped to the base layer instead of creating on top and having to say again that it's clipped, right?
So is that
So
kind of is it like a mask? It kind of restricts your drawing to.
it's kind of like a mask. Um, if I'm gonna show you before and after the clipping. If so, here I just create another one. I go to lasso 2 again, and I say, okay, their pants is gonna be this shape, right? If you unclip, this is what I actually did,
Uh,
right?
you
So,
did
but
something horrible.
it's something horrible, but it's nice like that. And then I just kept doing that for every part of the sprite, and there you go. Like it's colored. If you unclip, of course, it's horrible,
Okay.
but it doesn't matter. So that was a nice way to color really quickly. We had a lot of assets. People were really impressed by how many assets that game had. And I was like, yeah, but it's, it's not me, it's Clip Studio. It's just Clip Studio being amazing.
I've
Like,
never clipped a layer. I've never done it. Didn't
yeah,
even know
right.
it was a thing.
It's very useful for stuff like that, especially if you need a color, every color in different layers, because you're gonna animate them, and gonna put it in the game and say, oh, the specific color that I picked for the arms don't work. And then it's going to be a pain to change that if they're on the same layer. But if they're separated like that, you just change it individually, right? I can't remember the name of that game. Oh, Pedro is here in the chat.
Ah, hello, Saint
Hey,
11.
hi, my love. What's the name of the game we made? Chamber.
There we go. It was like a Ludum Dare game last year.
Which game? Yeah, you're right. There's like
Yeah.
20. Ludum Dare. Yeah, it was Chamber. If anyone wants to check it out, it's in our website, studiominibus.com. It's like a rogue like. It's fun. It's hard, but it's fun, and we were able to do a lot in it thanks to Clip Studio. That's jacked.
Nice. Oh, comics.
Comics.
Yeah.
So that's also something that I had no idea how to do, and it makes sense because this used to be called Manga Studio, so of course it's going to be amazing for that. But I'm still learning, so what you do is, oh, here Pedro linked our game on the
Yay. Thank you.
So you just pick comic when you're creating a new thing, and then this crazy window will have
What?
every, yeah, it's crazy. It will have every kind of setting that you want to do. It took me a while to get to these settings because I didn't know if I was going to want to print the thing that I'm doing, or in the end I just picked a American standard kind of
Wow. I've just made the default one and it does like the Korean style, very narrow, tall.
Oh, really? That's the Korean style? I had no idea.
Yeah, for webtoons.
Oh, that looks awesome for webtoons, of course. Yeah, that's great. Did you pick any number of pages here? When you say multiple pages, you can say, I want 20 pages.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, it creates like the whole book for you instead of just one page.
There's
So
a like a book preview feature, isn't there, for like printing?
I think so.
I think it does like a little 3D model so you could do actually like page through your whole book to see what it would look like.
What?
But I
So
don't know how to
awesome.
do it. You know, you watch like the feature videos and they like doing all this mind-blowing stuff and then it's like
That's
I don't know how what
amazing.
buttons do I push?
Yeah. One step at a time. We'll learn, we'll know everything
Eventually, yeah.
eventually. So what I did for the comic that I've been trying to do is I picked a very standard sort of comic format, like for North American graphic novels.
Kind of like a six-panel layout.
Yeah, and then it makes this one file with every page, and then you go and you say, okay, I'm going to work on page one. So now the page is open here, but you still have this file with every page displayed on the side. And you can go one by one and work on them individually. And and you can save them individually, or you can go to your one tab with all the
Right.
pages and say save, and then it's gonna save all the pages. Okay, sure. And if you go here, you can change things as you go. So um, you can add more pages, of course. You can delete pages. So like I picked 20 because I thought it would be more or less what I would need. I know there's a way to, oh yeah, you can combine pages. Page 20 and 21 will be combined. So now it's a spread.
Right.
You see how that changed
So that you
there?
can do the full spread.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is pretty cool. Um, so the thing that I'm most amazed by lately is the paneling tool,
Okay.
because I have a very messy way to plan my pages and to draw them. I'm not a very clean like artist. My art's not clean. So what I like to do is I say, okay, I know that the first panel we're gonna have the person here, and I know that behind them is going to be this house, and they're gonna have a cat, and that's all. I'm doing one layer for each of those because I'm not sure the
Right.
placement that I'm gonna want them in. And I do a very, oh, what happened? Sorry. Whatever. A very like rough. And then I say, okay, this person here is gonna be, there you go, lasso tool again for just, a white sort of mask, just so I know that this comes in front
Right.
and it's not, yeah. And this is what I do for every panel, right? And it's a mess. Usually because I don't want to group everything. Like usually if you want to be organized, you group this and you say this is going to be the first panel. But so what I do is I just create a new layer and I give it a color here. There, that's my divider. Next panel. Because I like having everything there open and without the
Okay.
indentation that groups do.
Yeah, you
You
don't want
know,
to be like opening and closing folders.
yeah, I try that. And here we're gonna have a close up. Just like, oh my god, you know. And it's very, very rough. It's weird. My painterly brush is not working for some reason. This is usually not solid like this. This is supposed to be like a very light gray. Yeah, the watercolor is also not working anymore. I might have to start my program.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, this is usually how I do as I plan things.
Okay.
I'm gonna make another divider here, and she's gonna be looking at a flower because I like drawing flowers. Then I say, okay, time to, divide the panels because this is more or less what I want to do. So
Right.
you go to this tool here, frame border. I have it set to Y, and then if I hit Y again, it goes to this other version of the frame border that I'm going to show in a few seconds. So just toggle between them. The
Oh.
main, yeah, it's very easy for me to just go there. And so the first one is create frame. You
Yeah.
pick a color. Um, Mine has this textured thing, but it could be cleaner if you want it.
Yeah, the default one is just like a regular rectangle. And I'm going to
Yeah,
try that.
it's down here. The other textures. You can also set it so it just marks for you where it's gonna be, and you draw it yourself, following the rule that it makes for you, the ruler that it makes for you. So you just
Okay.
go and use whatever brush you want. But I thought this one was pretty cute. Um, and then you just select it, and it creates this thing for you. Um,
Boom.
it's created, and then you go to the other version, the other subtool, which is to cut that frame border that you just created, and you cut it whatever you want, which is insane. um, what I do, because I'm very boring, is I hold shift, so it only goes in angles like that, and there. It's all set. So each one of these is a group because I said so, because I chose this option here, which is divide frame folder and create empty folder. So each one of these panels is a whole folder. So I say, okay, these first three are the first panel. They go inside this group, right?
Okay, so you just
This panel comes before this, so I'm gonna move it up. I know that this flower is the second panel, and the character is the last one. I delete my dividers, and that's it. So now everything inside that panel is not gonna leak, right? It's contained in there, which is pretty cool because, like I said, I draw a lot of unnecessary things. If I change my mind and I say, actually, I don't want this to be like this,
right.
I actually want it to be two different panels, right? So I just go like this, and this is actually a close up of this person here. Then it's done, and I want the cat to be alone in a different panel. So I just move the cat drawing to that panel, and it's done. And of course, if I change my mind about the sizes and everything, you just click on it.
Right. So I'm a little stuck because I drew my frame and cut it, but it's not showing the stuff that's underneath
What stuff?
the stuff I drew. Like,
Oh, I see. It's because you have the giant white layer that it creates. You can delete that
oh,
or just lower the opacity.
delete. Yes.
Did you find it?
Not quite. Like I've hidden them.
Let's see.
So it was like draw frame and then
Create frame. That's when it creates this frame background one, and it's just a solid white
yeah.
thing. That's what I delete.
Okay.
Did you do that?
It did do that. It's
Oh,
just not
weird.
showing anything.
Is there a way for me to see your screen more clearly?
Oh, there we go. I think I just had my stuff backwards. There we go.
Nice. Oh, there it is.
Behold. Yeah. Okay.
Perfect. Yeah. So if you click on the mask of the panel and you go in layer property, one of the tools you have there is the object tool, and then you can use that to change the shape, the size, and the gutters are all gonna follow that.
Oh. Heh. I've destroyed it.
So that's how I usually do it. I just, separate them very roughly and then adjust and move things around until I'm happy with the layout, which is something that I would never be able to do in a different program or by hand.
Yeah, that's super easy.
Yeah. So I don't remember where the settings are for the sizes of the gutter, the space between the panels, but it's not hard to find. You can check some tutorials, but there are two ways to do it. You can choose it for each page, like, oh, I want this one to have big spacing between the panels, or you can just set it in in Clip Studio settings itself and tell the tool to just follow that. So you have a very consistent, not have to worry about it too much.
Right.
So sometimes what you want to do is have something that's not in a panel, and that's something that's very common, especially if you have a scene where the character is like, oh, and you want that scene to be more timeless, like that's usually when you choose to not have a framing. So you can just move that outside of the panel folder and delete it. But now you have this problem where they're leaking
Yeah.
to the other ones, and that's when you say, hey, I actually want that layer that's just a solid white thing, because now you have a background for your panel instead of just having them be transparent, right? So you still have your um, your non-panel scene happening here, and all the other there are in panels will have to have a background, a solid background that goes on top of that one special um, scene, like that. That's the only occasion that I use the background thing, because my pages are already white and it's all black and white. But if you're having like a color thing where it's, or a more artsy thing like with spread out panels everywhere, then
Right.
I use that a lot. Yeah, pretty amazing. And then for um, speech bubbles, we just go and use that layer property that we were talking about before earlier with the black border. I think that's the easiest. I mean, it's easier to use Clip Studio's speech bubble tool
Yeah, they do have one.
because they have it. I don't know how to use it. I think it's pretty
Balloon.
intuitive. Let's see. Um, rounded balloon. Oop,
Yeah.
yeah. Just adjust the
Right.
settings in there.
Get out of there. There we go. How do I add tail?
Balloon tail.
Heh. Balloon tail. Oh, nice.
How did you make yours white? Because mine is coming out black.
The which part of mine? The body?
Yeah, because I did this and it's just a black mass, and I have white picked.
There's a fill
Oh,
color.
it's here. Rounded
Yeah.
balloon, line color, fill color. Oh, okay,
Or
that's
user color.
awesome.
Bam.
Cool. Yeah, so that's probably the easiest way to do it, but because it's too clean, I end up not using it at all. Like I said, I have a very rough, sort of dirty art style, and I think the balloon being that nice doesn't quite fit. So what I do is I create this layer for speech blob, and I just yeah, I usually write the text first, and then I just draw the balloon with my brush, and then fill it out with lasso tool.
Are you hand lettering or
I'm using this font that's very cool, that kind of looks like hand,
right?
but it's still a font.
Just
So
a casual like
yeah, I really like how it looks. I'm gonna show it. It's from Scott McCloud.
okay.
The he mentions it in his book. I don't remember which. I think it was the Making Comics one, the third one.
Okay.
He mentions it in the fonts part. He's like, "Oh yeah, this font was made based on my handwriting, and you can buy it at." And then there's a website there.
Nice.
So it's really
Have you ever
nice.
made your own like handwriting font?
Never.
It's a bit of a pain in the ass.
Yeah. How is that process usually?
Usually you have to have a specific tool for doing font layouts so that you can actually register the characters as uh, their actual character code.
Or do
But
you draw in it?
yeah,
Oh, interesting.
yeah, a lot of it's like just doing vector art stuff. But
Mm. Do you have one?
do I have? I somewhere. I made one 15 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
I
I
would
think
love
it's
to see
somewhere in my
that.
Dropbox or an old hard drive.
Probably. That's cool. Yeah, I never even went close to anything like that because I'm just learning comics now. So that sounds cool. That sounds like, yeah, it sounds like a pain, but also very rewarding once you're done, probably. Just because it's such a cool thing to have.
Yeah,
So this font, do you remember if you did uppercase and lowercase as well?
I did. Yeah,
Oh, okay, cool.
I had like a template grid to fill in.
You're just filling in the squares.
Yeah.
That's awesome. This specific font doesn't have a lowercase because it's for American comics, and American comics don't use lowercase. So what they did is, when so I'm writing here, hey, oh, sorry, hey, I'm a flower. Um, woohoo. So what they did is, when you hit lower, what would be a uppercase? I just wrote this all in lowercase, and
Yeah.
you can see here in the layer, right? So, just a second. Can I come back in 5 minutes?
Actually, it's time for a break
Oh,
if
okay.
you want to. Yeah,
Because it's my phone and it's something important.
no
Sorry.
problem. Okay, so we'll be back pretty quick. Get some water. In 5-10 minutes. I've actually got to eat a sandwich. So, see you all again shortly. Enjoy these commercials. Welcome back, everybody, to Can't Draw Horses Club. I'm here with Amora, checking out Clip Studio Paint, and I would like to thank Piratical Tendencies for 61 months of support, Rock and Rollner, 12 months, happy 1 year. 12 months in, it's still no horses drawn on my end. You're doing an amazing job. Horses not guaranteed. Death Likes Cats has cheered with 100,000 bits for the horses that aren't here. We got some raiders from Unarmed Oracle. Welcome, Tactics fans, Tilt fans, the Commander's crew. And Adam J. Ford has subbed for 79 months, almost 8 years. Is it? Is it? Okay, I'm not going to try to do math today. Today is not a day for doing math. Where were we? We were right.
The
Text. You
flower.
were talking about it being all uppercase. Uh
Yes.
and
Yeah.
I if it's a correct comic thing, there should be a different I
Yes.
available.
I'm gonna get to that as well. So,
Yes.
yes. So I'm a flower. Woo. I have opinions. So what they did is, if you were to pick an uppercase, it's just a slightly different version of the same letter, right? So if you have like double letters, like in woo, if you look closely, they're slightly
Yeah.
different. So that's cool. That gives it a handmade feel. And I do that for other, if, even if they're not as close. But like I have two N's in here. I just make one of them slightly different, and also this L here. So when you're seeing something that's supposed to be handwritten, and you're like, I know that's a font because all the letters are the same. They look exactly the same. I always do that. I always feel like people should, at least in like logos and stuff and
Right.
titles in movies, people should do an effort to make that the same letters are at least a little different, slightly different. So I think this is cool. And you're right, the I, uh, for being in the middle of a word like this, you just use the normal lowercase one. But if it's I first person, then you switch to uppercase, which has the thingies. I think those are serifs. You would know.
Yeah, serifs, uh, Terminators. I don't know actually.
Yeah, I have no idea why that rule exists. I didn't know about it until I read those books about comics. It's just you're supposed to use that kind of I when it's I think nouns and like proper names
Yeah,
and when it's a first person thing and I agree that it looks better, but it's something that I had never noticed until
yeah.
someone pointed it out, and now I notice it everywhere. Like my friends who make comics and are not doing that, my eye just goes straight. But it didn't used to do that. It's so annoying.
Like I think it's just traditional, and a lot of it has to do with differentiating an L from an I. Like even if it's an all uppercase thing, and the L should have the little foot.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. It's just yeah, the reading just flows better. So yeah, this font has it, and my favorite part about this font specifically is that it has all the accents for when I translate this to Portuguese.
Okay.
Because so many good fonts don't have that, and it's annoying because I always do whatever I do. I always try to do both in English and Portuguese, and so yeah, this one is a big recommendation from me. Um, so after I have the text, that's usually when I go and make the speech bubble. Um, Okay, let's see. Let's say that this and over here. Why is it not painting?
Hmm.
Just wanna make it. Huh. I think I'm gonna start. I'm gonna restart my
Yeah.
program because it's kind of weird. Okay, just a second.
I can keep fiddling with mine while you do that.
Mhm.
I'll try out the uh making my own speech bubble with just a layer effect.
Mhm.
Where's text? Right, I already have text selected. Boop. Perfect. And then
Boop.
another layer under that with border effect. Make that black. Brush. Alright, let's see. Let's see this. So I can definitely afterwards fix it. Oh yeah.
Mhm.
I am all ready to make my own Sweet Bro and Hella Jeff.
Yep.
I MS Paint Adventures, here we go. There
Yeah,
we
it just
go.
looks so organic and nice. I really love just drawing them like that. Yeah, it's exactly what you did. My thing seems to be working now.
Okay, I've lost the preview.
Oh, just a second.
Yeah, always more to do. Watercolor edge. Ooh, that's gross. I guess if I wanted to do like the. I have seen speech bubbles or like thought bubbles that just have like a kind of a gradient instead of a hard line around the edge.
Oh.
But because I was mucking with, you know, green, it doesn't look the same.
Yeah, but I can see the little gradient. It's nice. So what's happening is, as you see here, I have a new illustration thingy, and my brush works and my color works, but
Yeah.
but it doesn't work here. That's because when I created this comic, I said I wanted monochromatic, and I said black and white. So it's just respecting that. So
You
there's
were the
nothing wrong.
criminal.
I was the criminal, not this amazing program. I'm sorry, Clip Studio, that I ever doubted you. I don't know how to change that though. File.
I don't know. Changing color
It's,
mode afterwards?
yeah, I think it's in story, and then you go to change project settings.
Might be canvas properties in
Maybe.
edit canvas properties.
I don't think it's canvas because it has to be the basic setting for the whole book, right? And the canvas, I think, would be just a page. So I think it's story project settings, and then I
Okay.
say color, not monochrome. And then it changes, it updates that for all the pages that are done and the new pages that I might want to create. But it is a little hidden. Um, let's see if that works now. Yeah, everything is great. So yeah, we go to white. We say um, for the effect, and then just draw it. And it usually takes me a few tries to get the shape that I like.
Right.
Like that, and then lots of fill just to make sure that everything is nice and solid. And then with
Okay.
yeah, and then still with lasso fill is what I like to is how I like to do the tail because it's easy.
Oh,
And usually recenter the text because I can never get it right first time. And there you go. There's a nice, not clean, not perfect balloon, just the way I like it. I guess it's a bubble, not balloon. Do you say balloon?
you said balloon.
Okay, good. Because in Portuguese it's balloon, so I just call my layer ba for balloon, and whenever I have um, a new speech thing that I want to make for another panel, I copy it and I drag it there,
Because it
and
has all your
then
effects on it.
it already has the effects, so I just
Ah.
delete whatever it is in there and draw again. So exactly, it's instead of having to memorize the thickness and having to go and choose black again, I just have the one that I created once and I copy it across all the pages, all the panels. It's my ba layer. There's a thing that Clip Studio does sometimes, depending on how your settings are,
Right.
that can be a little annoying. I think it's in, is it in settings? Control K. Which is the name of copies. I have it set to do not rename, so that's why when I copy my ba layer, it just goes ba 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 ba. Depending on how you have it, it can do this. It's adding a number that can be useful depending on what you're doing, or just adding copy and then copy 2, copy 3, copy 4. And that can be annoying if you don't need it to have a different name because it's going to be the same thing in different files.
Right.
And it not only it does it to the name of your group, it also renames every layer inside that group. So it used to make me crazy, and when I found out in settings you can just say do not rename.
Right.
So I keep changing that back and forth depending on what I'm working on. But do you see how big the names get after a while.
I
It's
don't like
so,
it.
yeah, it's messy, right? So yeah, this is our beautiful finished comic. There's a ghost, a cat stepping on a puddle, a flower with opinions, and a person who's very annoyed by that.
It's shocking.
Shocking. Oh yeah, and it creates this purple mask when you're working on a specific panel.
Yeah.
So I pick this panel, it just isolates everything else, which I think is nice. And if you click outside any panel, like any layer that you have that's outside of them, it just goes back to being nice and whatever color you picked for your page. There's our list. Comics are done.
Animation.
Animation. So
It's
have you messed with it at all yet?
never. I see a little frame thing, a timeline at the bottom, and it scares me.
It is scary at first, and I know there are many scary things about it that I never went, I never came close to figuring it out because I know there's like enough features for an actual animator to do whatever they want to do, like have whole scenes with the camera panning
Yeah.
and soundtrack. Like you can
Yeah.
actually make a whole movie. That's insane to me. I have no idea how to do that. The only thing that I know about animating in Clip Studio is for what I make for our games, right? So it's usually just a person sitting there, moving their mouth and blinking. And I'm happy with that.
It sounds doable. That's less scary than trying to make
Yeah.
motion picture.
But I'm sure that if you do decide to do a motion picture, if you follow the tutorial step by step, because there are so many tutorials by Clip Studio themselves and also people just being amazing, I'm sure you'll nail it. Because even though it looks complicated, once you start doing it, it's like, oh, okay, this actually makes sense. The whole program is built in a way that it's so intuitive. Another thing, when you create a new illustration, I don't know if you've changed your paper color. I like to set it to gray just so it doesn't burn my eyes.
Yeah, I've started doing that recently.
Cool, yeah. I like having a light gray instead of white. So you can create an animation from here, from the new file
Yeah.
window, which is nice because you get to choose this little margin here, this little safety margin thing. Um, and you also choose the how many frames you want. This is set up to 200. That's way too many. I'm gonna say 20. And the name of the story, um, story time, and then you have all these things that are here. It just makes it look more like not professional, but it's neat because now you have the name of your animation written
Oh.
there.
Is that
It's
the frame number?
Yeah, 0 is the frame number, and then you're free to draw stuff like this. Like, let's go back to our flower. Like, I'm free to draw it all the way to here, move it around, and then once I export my animation, everything that's outside here of this blue margin, it's not going to be exported. So the actual size of your animation is what's inside the margin.
Right.
So you don't have to worry about not drawing the rest of what it is that you're drawing, which is nice. But I think this is more useful when you're making like an actual animation, like a little scene for something, a cut scene, or like we were saying, a
Or
short.
working with other people.
Yeah, working with other people, exactly. So you're gonna want, your camera panning, no, your camera panning. You're gonna want to have that leeway of extra drawing to do some parallax. Um, I haven't really adapted to this specific animation mode because when we export it for the game, and I want to say export the flower and nothing else, it still counts the blue margin. Even if I say cut exactly where the margin is, like it's still depending on how you export it, it keeps the margin there. So I think what it does is if you export it as an animation, as a movie, it cuts where the margin is. But if you export it in a sequence of PNGs, which is what I need,
Yeah.
it keeps the margin there. You can hide it, which is, you
Eh.
know, silly. So what I did was I said, okay, margin, just be the same as the actual margin, so you disappear. But then it didn't disappear. The PNG went to the game with like half a pixel of blue margin all around it, and so yeah, it doesn't work for what I'm doing. So that's why I haven't done that anymore. I just create a normal illustration thing.
Okay.
Yeah, like I would or any other kind of art. And then I say, I want the window for timeline. And it appears here. And that's the part that can be scary because it has so many options. Um, and I don't know a lot of them. But what I what I'm used to doing and what I think is, it works if you're making animation for a game, or I want to make like a cute sticker or stuff that are simpler than whole scenes with a bunch of stuff happening. You just say I want an animation folder, and it's just this first option here. So what it does, it creates a folder here, and it looks different than your normal folder. You
Right.
see here, this is a folder that's just a normal drawing folder, and this is the animation folder, which,
Get the little film strip.
yeah, that's cute. I hadn't seen that icon because I just updated my Clip Studio like 2 days ago. There are a bunch of new icons that are different than what I'm used to. So you create an animation folder, and what it does is now it knows that whatever you put inside that folder means that it's gonna be played one after the other,
Okay. So it's
right?
sequential.
Yeah. So I create a new layer here, um, and a new
Cell?
timeline here. You have to have your timeline first because right now it doesn't have the frames that you can attach your cells to.
Oh.
So you say new timeline, please, and yeah, I think this is good. Frame rate of 8, timeline 1 doesn't matter. So what I do with the timelines is right now what I'm doing, because the portraits that I'm making for Earthblade are way more complex than the ones in Celeste. What I'm doing is each timeline is a different part of the person. So one is just the eyes, the other is just the mouth, the other is, I don't know, hair, and when it's just I
Okay.
animated in parts. Um, Playback time. I don't know. This is the length. It
Right.
doesn't really matter because it's just this blue thing, and you can move it around as much as you want. The only annoying thing is because I created it at 10. I said 10 frames. Then my timeline ends when my exactly where my frames stop existing. Right. So if I decide that now I want it to be 24 frames, I have to go and drag it to match it. But that's it.
Okay.
That's the only thing. And then now, same thing if I want to make it shorter. You just have to do them both at the same time. It's the only reason to try to start your file knowing how many frames you're gonna want. It doesn't matter. So so now that you have your timeline, you can say, hey, this frame one here, I want to be attached. This layer one, I want to be attached to frame number one or cell number one.
Yeah.
And you do that with this specify cells option. It has a little link
Yeah.
icon on it, and you say you're number one. So now it understands that whatever you draw here is going to show up at this time, right? If you create new frames here, oh, and I have it set it so W is the next frame and Q is the previous one.
Okay.
I think the easiest way, if you have like a normal keyboard, the easiest way is to set it up to F1 and F2, you know, whatever makes you think of previous, next. That's all in the shortcut settings, which is set to Control Alt Shift K, but it's also probably somewhere in File. You can set every kind of shortcut you want here. So that would be in menu, comments, animation. Yeah, then we have everything here. I think it's playback settings. Oh no, this is for you to play your animation.
Yeah.
Usually people have it set on space. I don't know why I wasn't liking space for that, so mine is D.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do a lot of editing in like nonlinear editing stuff. So I would probably do like comma period for my frame moving and spacebar for play.
Period. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, because it has the little what do you call that? Arrows in
Yep.
them. Yeah, that'll definitely work. So yeah, if you create new frames here, it is going to automatically create new layers and attach and understand that they're the same thing.
Right.
So my new frame is set to, I think, the number 9. I don't know where it is. Oh yeah, it's this plus symbol here, new animation cell. I have it set to 9. So 9. Do you see that it's creating all those new layers? So they're automatically they already know. So if I go back and forth, you can see one by one becoming visible and becoming selected, right?
Oh yeah.
That's a nice thing. If you're drawing every layer from scratch, then you know that's how you would do it. But usually, what you want to do, depending on what you're doing, you want to have like you draw the first frame, and then the second frame you want to be just a slightly variation of the first. So creating a new frame like this is not gonna work that well because it's gonna create an empty thing. So you could just Control C, Control V, and then manually go and say, hey, I want, like, if I'm gonna do, like, 9 is a ball, and 10 is that ball but slightly different. I'm gonna duplicate it, call it 10, and then say that this frame is 10.
Right.
You just manually go and do
Link it.
the link. Yeah, it's very easy. And then of course you can unlink anything you want. Just say, nope, I don't want you anymore. So for the longest time in my life, what I would do was I would have, okay, let's delete all of this. I would have my first frame, and I would draw on it. Yeah. And then I would say, okay, next frame, right? Next frame is number 2, and it happens right after. And it would be really hard to navigate around that because now I have these 2 frames, these 2 different layers, right?
Yeah.
And to edit the second frame, the second layer or frame, I would have to move it out of the animation folder, do it sort of blindly, because now it's not animated anymore. I don't know if it's working.
Right.
And then put it back. Because the way that I do it is I create a bunch of layers. Like when I'm drawing, I create new layers every time to
For like your eyes and mouth and such.
yeah, or even like if this drawing has the eye open and I want to make it blink, right? I need the reference. And of course you can do onion skin and everything, but sometimes the line art is so specific that you just need more layers, right? So for years of my life, what I was doing was that. But then just last year, I found out that you can actually create whole folders, and they're gonna be a frame. It's so stupid. So what I do now is instead of creating a layer here that is a frame, I create a whole folder, of course, and that folder is now frame one. And
Okay.
then yeah, and the same thing with the layer. Now that it understood, the program knows that your first frame is the folder called one. When you create new ones, it creates a folder for you. And if you said, hey, program, this folder has 3 layers on it, it's going to do the same thing for every new. It's just going to repeat whatever you have to make your life easier. So, yeah, that made my life much, much easier because now I get to have as many layers as I want inside of that folder. And the folder is the frame, not the layer.
Right. That yeah, that is such a savings.
It is, yeah. So what you could do, depending on what you're doing, you could have your line art and your color under the same folder, right?
Yeah.
Then you say, okay, so now next frame, and I'm gonna turn my onion skin options here just to see the onion skin thing is somewhere around here. I'm not sure where to turn it on, but you can turn it on in the animation.
Yeah, it's to the right of the unlink one. Enable onion skin.
Oh yeah, I have mine set to one of my shortcuts here because I use it a lot. I turn it on and off a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can also set it for different things. You can say how many previous frames you want to be looking at, how many of the next. You can choose the colors. It's very customizable as usual. So now I have my second layer here. I'm going to put the same color. So there you go. You have um, there's 2 folders. One is frame one is frame two, and they both have inside of them a line art and a color. And that works pretty well. Um, but I don't know if it's me or if it's games. I really do need to have the color separate from the line art. So if someone says, "Hey, actually, this ball needs to be blue," I could go one by one and say, "Okay, you're gonna be blue now,
Right.
right?" But then I have to do this here and here. And what if this animation has 59 frames? I have to do it 59 times,
Yeah.
right? So what I prefer to do is I'll have this folder be line art only, right? And then I'll create a second animation folder, and you can have as many as you want. And this other animation folder is going to be color.
So then you have
And
like 2 timelines.
I have it's actually the same timeline, but it's 2 different strips of frames within the same timeline.
Okay.
Yeah. So now for the color, what I do is same process. I create a folder. Um, it's going to be showing the line art because I have it visible. I could turn it invisible if I wanted. I'm going to have the folder. I'm going to have a layer. I'm going to use my. Oh, and right now it says you can't do that. It's like, why? It's because I didn't link it to the frame. So I just say, hey, you're linked here. Then it lets me do it, right?
Yeah.
And again, I'll use the lasso tool. And here for the second frame, same thing. So now I have it in different folders. If I have more stuff happening in the same animation, I can group these two, and I'm gonna use a normal group this time instead of animation group and say, you are the ball. So it's more organized, right? And
Yeah.
then, if we put it in the game and we're like, oh, actually the ball should be yellow, then I don't have to go one by one all of my 60 frames anymore. I can just say, new layer, it's very yellow, and I clip it to the entire animation folder.
Oh,
Bam, boom, bada bam. And then, you can experiment. So you could in theory just like color everything gray, right? And just experiment with the clips layers on top with the color that you think works, and change it here even, and say, okay, let's try this with this very dark pink. Oh yeah, I actually like that better. And then you just re-export, and it didn't even touch the original layers here. You can unsee this new layer, and they're gonna be back to their bluish original tone.
right.
Um, yeah, so we can add effects to that as well. Or you can do that to the whole thing. Like, oh, actually, the whole ball should be, I don't know, have a like orange tone to it. You just click to the entire thing and say, oh, I don't know why that's not working. But you can add like effects to it. I don't know if you want it to be sort of gradient, go into transparent, or have like an overlay sort of effect on it.
Ah, it is so cool that you can put effects on folders.
Yes, that was a life-saving thing. I had no idea you could do any of that. I don't know what this is not working though. It's something that I'm not calculating right now, because this should be clipped to this, but it isn't. Oh, I guess because I didn't do anything to it. There you go. This whole solid thing, and I say, just choose whatever effect, screen, and now you have it applied to both line art and color, right?
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. That's also a way to a thing that I used a lot in that game that I mentioned, because that game was so Chamber is the game that I was talking about earlier for people
Yeah.
on the phone now. Pedro and I hadn't done, and Pedro is my partner, work partner, life partner. We hadn't done a game jam in years because we feel like we're too old for it. But we were both wanting to try new things. He wanted to experiment with some programming things that he was curious about, and I had been wanting to put all of these little animation tricks in practice because I had just learned them. So the jam was a good way to just take 3 days to focus on these very specific things that we want to sort of play with.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know what else I could say about animation because this is pretty much it. For the color, I was also using that thing that I showed you before with the clipping a layer and just doing that forever with a lasso.
Right.
So it's not, so I don't have to worry too much about respecting the line art or whatever. Yeah. So again, if you unclip, it's just a nightmare, but it doesn't matter. Yeah, and I think this pretty much covers everything that I wanted to show you because these are all of my favorite features.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and whenever you're done with your animation, and you know how tiny this timeline window makes everything, you can just go and say, okay, I don't need you anymore. All the windows are right here in window. Just pick which ones you want. You can hit tab to make it a big, nice windowless space. If you like super focus on something specific that you wanna then tab to and get on
I
top.
like having all my tools up.
Me too. I never use that. I want to be in full control.
Saint 11. Yeah, we did cover how to duplicate frames. Pretty sure. Doing the duping, doing the linking.
Yeah. Yeah, there's not a lot of I don't know if Pedro, do you do it differently when you animate in Clip Studio? I know you don't do it that much. Pedro usually uses Sprite because he animates in pixel art, but sometimes he does high res things in Clip Studio, and I remember it being very different than me. Do you remember what it was that you did so differently? Not sure. Yeah, I remember one of the like seeing your process and being like, "What is this even the same program?" I think I just call you and you're explaining me again every time. Okay.
Yeah, this is part of the process.
This is what I do with Pedro every time I want a new brush, because those brush settings I always get confused.
Right.
So when I wanted to do that beads one that I showed you, it was like I called him, how, and it's so easy, but for some reason my brain always gets confused.
All right. Well, if you're done your list of topics to cover, we can take a break. Uh, I'm out of water, and I wanted to look at least one of the regular Clip Studio tutorials for
Yeah,
how to make fantasy maps, which I'll
that sounds really
probably
fun.
link in chat as well after the break.
Cool.
Uh, just one thing to do. I've got to thank the passerby for 50 months. Sub. Woo, 50 months, almost that 5 year mark. Wish me some good returns, chat. Good returns, passerby. And now we go to break. Will be 3 to 5 minutes. All right. Welcome back, everyone, to Can't Draw Horses Club. At this point, we're going to be looking at a tutorial for creating a fantasy map. I'm going to post that link in the chat. Boom. So there's lots of like official tutorials and stuff like that on the website that sells the software. So I guess I'm gonna start. I'm gonna start at step 2 because I don't even need an idea to start with. Just making an
Yeah.
A4 landscape thingamy.
Step one is inspiration.
Yeah.
So you're starting step two, which is the sketch, right?
Yep. So create a new layer, use pencil, color it. All right. Oh God, what do I even want to? Yeah, okay, maybe I do have to start at step 1. Uh,
Maybe you do need inspiration.
dang it.
I don't even how okay. I've never done a map in my entire life before.
Okay.
How do you even get inspiration for a map? Like what is that? Do I pick a theme? Like I want it to be very dark.
Yeah, that works. Um,
Okay.
like they say, think of Tolkien, but it's like I don't think Tolkien drew maps in his books at all. Like he would
Hmm.
describe things, and then I think people would come in later and make the maps. But I play a lot of D&D, so
Okay, you have that like
the map that
library.
they make in the tutorial looks like a D&D map.
Pedro is saying in the chat that I did a map for Earthblade. That is only half true. What happened was Medi thought of the entire world and they drew like a very rough version of how they were imagining where things to be, and I went in and interpreted that and redrew that in like a painterly map style, and of course adding details to each section.
Yeah.
making it pretty, but like the actual creation was all Maddie's. So that's why I keep my word and say I never actually drew a map. Yeah, I rendered a map and it looks good. You all
Okay, now I'm
see in
excited.
you'll all see in 10 years when we finish this game.
Yeah, right?
10 to 20 years.
I'm gonna be too old to play this game.
Me too. I'm gonna be too old to make it. I was like, oh, video games. Who cares? But yeah, I wasn't actually creating it. I think that would be the hardest part for me, which is very easy for Pedro, by the way. He's so good with just boop, spawning whole worlds.
Rude.
It's so rude.
Yeah, no, Pedro's working on like an RP system with a whole bunch of extra stuff around it lately.
Yeah, and like the bulk of it, like the core of everything, was done in a weekend. So it's actually it's weird. I think it's weird. But
People.
yes, I know.
I've done sort of like Chevy Ray. So he and I for a while were doing stuff kind of back and forth on like map generators where you make a computer make the map for you.
Oh, that's
But
cool.
that was forever ago. Like literally forever.
That sounds so much like something Chevy would be working on
Yeah.
with someone. Yeah, that's super cool.
Okay.
Okay, I
I
guess my
need
inspiration is darkness, goth.
doing like a gothic thing. Okay. I think I just want like generic Fantasyland and I'm trying not to draw just D&D. Like
Yeah.
don't draw any of the maps that I've been looking at for the last month.
In this
Uh
document, we will create a new layer using the pencil and color. We will sketch our map. A simple map. No, 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 yeah, no, 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 no. Oh, I see. Okay.
okay, this is not just backwards the west coast of BC. Trust me.
Let me in the chat.
Get some watery stuff.
What if it's an island?
Yeah,
It's an island in the shape of a skull. So original.
Skull Island. It's like
Skull
Pirates of the
Island.
Dark Water or something like
Yeah.
that.
I think Monkey Island also had one of those. Or was it a cave? I don't remember.
There was maybe it's from Peter Pan. Maybe like Captain Hook has a skull fort.
Probably.
Okay. Coastline. Blobby land things.
My love, I was kidding when I said you were weird. You're not. You're just very creative. And I resent you for that. He suddenly went very quiet on the chat.
Oh no.
Oh. You'll never be offended by that. There's a bunch of water around my skull.
Uh,
I quiet because I'm working on scars. Oh yeah, he's working on his fifth personal side project. That is huge and amazing. So Scars is like a visual novel, but you're a doctor in this very like dark and mysterious land, just treating people in cool and gross ways.
yeah. Have either of you ever played like Pathologic 2? Uh, which is like an RPG survival thing where you're a surgeon.
Oh,
Uh,
that's what it is. Because I've seen like videos about it, but I've never played it. I think Pedro played Pathologic 1 and 2.
yeah. So like you have to go around and treat people, and sometimes you collect organs and things. And so that's, of course, where my mind went immediately, looking at like a.
That's
It's
cool.
kind of the screenshots I've seen is like there's a little bit of autopsy here. Okay. These people did some fancy stuff. Okay, create a custom brush. Texture for maps.
That's the next step.
That's step 3 after doing your outline.
I have to create a custom brush.
Yeah.
Although we can make the map completely freehand, we will use all the versatility of Clip Studio brushes. Okay.
So make a new document with 600 DPI.
Oh, I see what they're doing. I actually did this once in 2013 when I was making the portraits for Towerfall, and the Blue Archer has some very intricate details on the end of her cloak,
Right.
and I was like dying drawing all of it, and Pedro said you could just make a brush for it. And so I drew one big part of it, like a flower with things around it, and then transformed that into a brush, and I would just, draw around her cloak with that brush for the intricate details. That was really cool.
Okay. So black and white. Oh, make a mountain. Try to make it a good looking mountain, or else.
Black and white. White will help us to superimpose some images with others. With the brush. Okay, so first we draw the thing and then we say, this is the brush now, okay? Right?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Because you can just use images as brushes.
Does it have to be a square file?
No, I just made it a square. I think you can do your stuff through export, so you don't even need a specific shape for anything.
We're doing mountains?
That's what I'm doing. Just put my color layer on top of my line layer like a professional. Boop. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay. To create the brush, select the layer of the element. So I probably have to squash my stuff. Merge. Okay.
Do I have to use solid black and white or can I do a little texture thing?
Uh, you can probably do texture stuff, but I think it's gonna apply colors based on the values.
Right. Okay, I'm gonna try it with the watercolor brush.
Yeah.
See what it looks like.
So select this thing. Okay. Edit menu material registration. Register material. Image. Use for brush tip shape. Give it a name. Big mountain. Don't know how to save this. Blah, blah, blah. Add a label, any location. Ah, okay. So I had to select spot in my materials directory.
Oh, that thing. That huge thing.
Yeah, it's like you can't just put it in the root. It can't just be in all of your brushes.
Hmm. Let's see.
So, different images of mountains. All right. So I'm going to make another mountain or a
Edit
few
menu.
more mountains.
Material registration. Image. Oh yeah. One thing that I forgot to cover when we were talking about the basics
Yeah.
is that so usually programs only let you edit one layer, like if you want to cut and move things around, but Clip Studio lets you do it in a folder. I don't know if Photoshop has caught up to that now, but
Okay.
so yeah, you can just select this in the folder and say move it all to here, and then when you open it, both the every layer in there is going to be edited, which was pretty
Yeah.
amazing at the time. So do I still have to select even though it's the only thing in the image?
Probably not. You
Edit.
just have to make sure that the layer that it's on is there.
Okay. So I call it mountain 1.
Probably. It looks like we have to make a few of them so that we can generate a mountain chain brush.
Hmm.
Beautiful.
Mountain 1.
Select, edit, register material. Oops.
I can't figure out the material property window.
The so
Let's choose
yeah,
a save location.
that's what I ran into. So you have to expand the the all materials thing.
Oh, here.
Yeah, it wants you to put something somewhere in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you pick image material?
I did. I
And then
think.
brush?
And then I added a tag too for mountain.
That's weird because it didn't let me pick the brush tip option.
Huh. Image.
Because it's here, but it's grayed out.
Weird. Maybe
Hmm.
you have to do a selection then.
But it is selected.
Ah! I don't know why.
Yeah, maybe it's because I grouped it. Did you flatten your thing
I
and
did
then
flatten.
select
I
it?
merged my layers.
I'll merge them and do the selection. So this is something that we're going to be using a lot right now. Yeah, this is the kind of thing that I would add on the comment bar if I knew I was gonna have like 10 or 20 different brushes to make instead of going to edit every time and
Yeah.
Okay, now I have the options. You were right. I had to flatten it.
A little annoying, but not the worst.
That's fine. Use for brush tip shape. It's called Mountain One. Okay. Do we have it? Does it exist now? Where does it go?
You put it in images?
Yeah. Oh, it probably goes. No.
It's in the things you can set as your brush tip in your brush settings.
Oh, okay.
Ah. I think I'm good with 3. I'm tired making these.
Yeah, it's a long process. So I created a new brush and I went in settings and I clicked brush tip, but I can't click on anything that's in there. Was yours not grayed out when you opened that screen, or was it a
I
different
haven't
screen?
looked yet.
Oh, so you didn't make the brushes itself then
No.
themselves. Okay, okay. I'll wait for you to do that then.
Yeah, I can do that now. Going to paint. Sure. I'm just gonna copy the smooth India ink brush. Then in the substiff, brush shape. Click the new icon. Brush tip. Ah, brush tip. Tip shape. New tip shape. There's my mountain.
Amazing.
Did you find yours?
No, I'm still drawing my second mountain.
Okay. Just gonna add all of my mountains to the brush like it wants. So, stroke. Gotta increase the gap. Random. Pressure can be used to activate change sizes of the mountains quickly. I don't think I'm ready for that.
Mountain 2.
Okay. I'll just try it out. Just try out the new brush that I made. Yeah.
Did it work?
It did work. Kind of. It it made them tiny. There they are. Here's my mountains.
Cute. Oh, just yeah. There you go.
For my fantasy land.
Is it randomizing which one it picks?
Yeah.
Or is it? Oh wow, that's cool.
Yeah, that's one of the settings. Or you can set it to pick based on pressure, so that it'll pick the bigger ones if you're pushing harder.
What? That's incredible. Jesus.
There we go. Now I have my mountains. Oh, and then it wants you to make tree brushes. I see how this brushes for water, brushes for plants, brushes for cities.
That makes sense, but wow.
Curious about this brush for the edges of water bodies. Okay, I'm gonna try to make the water one. But 600 DPI. G-Pen. I'm finally doing it. I'm adding black and white to my to my top bar. So far, this is a
Nice.
lot of black and white.
Yeah. It's just nice to have them there.
It's like
I
in
would add
Photoshop, I just hit D.
E.
Yeah, it just sets the default color, which is the black and white.
That's useful.
Yeah.
Register material. I'm just gonna add that to my comment bar because I keep missing it. That's file. Oops, not that. Oh, it's edit. Edit. Register material. Image. Okay, now it's there.
And just gonna modify this. Keep my selection. Boop.
So I registered all 3 mountains. So now you create a new brush, right?
Yeah. Sorry.
Can I just call it mountain?
That's what I did.
Then I say whatever tool icon is going to be.
Oh.
A natural scene. It's this cute thing. for the mount. And then I go to its settings
Yep.
and brush tip, right?
Yeah. And there should be, because there's like that strip at the top,
Mm-hmm.
and there should be, the plus button should be touchable.
Yeah. That's weird.
It is weird. See, when I copied a brush, it worked fine.
I copied the brush too. Maybe my brush is too weird. I'm gonna copy a different brush. G-Pen. You use G-Pen, right?
I used the Ink Smooth, but
Oh. That should be fine, because it was one of the default ones. No, not yet.
come on. All right.
Oh, I didn't notice about the settings. When you click the eye
Yeah.
icon, it's just so it shows in there in the little window for you.
Oh,
Yeah, right.
yeah, your little properties thing.
You pick what properties you want to have at hand. That's neat.
I was wondering about that.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Yay.
Just noticed.
Okay, so Soldier of Fortune has uh, done some digging and says that Tolkien did make some maps,
Oh.
which is definitely something that Tolkien would do.
That's cool.
Okay, so I'll try making a brush from fresh. I don't know how to do.
Yeah, I've never made a one from scratch. It's always been variations of something already. There we go.
Time for Google. Studio. Hey, make new brush. Doop doop. That's not helpful. Just open the things. Hmm. Yeah, it looks like it wants people to adjust stuff based on brushes they've already got.
Oh, okay. I guess it makes sense. Start out with something that's already similar to what you have in mind.
Yeah. Okay. Doing the water edge. Settings. Three, 4, 5.
I'm not ready to work. I picked the three mountains.
Randomized.
Jesus, that makes no sense at all. Do you have any idea what's happening here?
No.
Ah, because it's dual brush. Okay. So
Oh.
it's trying to combine.
Two different
But the thing,
brushes. Okay.
yeah, but the thing is, if I don't pick dual brush, the options are not available anymore. So that's why I picked it. So I have no idea. Yeah, I'm gonna have to give up. I don't even know how to look this up.
Yeah, I'm getting pretty lost trying to figure out how to get my edge thing to be continuous.
Hmm. I'm gonna check the tutorial again.
Okay, I'm starting from the textured pen. Let's see if this works. I understand that my little sub windows can't be seen on stream.
Oh yeah. Okay, so one thing that I did differently of the tutorial is that I wanted to make it watercolory,
Right?
and they say it's important for the image to have an opaque white background. Later we can eliminate that by putting the layer in multiply mode. So I shouldn't be trying to do that in the brush itself.
Right.
Let's try it again. Oi, Gigi. Tudo bem? My friend Gigi is in the chat.
Oh, I've definitely made something interesting. I'm not sure if it was like, here, I'll.
Josh suggested ribbon mode. Yeah, I clicked that at some point. Didn't really understood. Didn't really understand. Sorry, what it did.
Oh, maybe ribbon mode is what I wanted. Yeah, ribbon mode on strokes, because that would that's made my uh
What does it do?
it made the stuff joined. So now I just have to get the angle right. Doop doop. Oh, very close. Good 90. Okay. Oh, yeah.
Oh, nice.
Everything I wanted.
Yeah.
All right. So now I can definitely go in and do my coastline. Oh no, I've rotated my canvas.
Gorgeous.
No,
What'd you do?
I don't know what I did. The problem with being a beginner on this software because I have no idea what I'm doing.
You're just rotating your canvas, right?
Yep,
Oh, okay. That's usually when you hit escape.
maybe.
Usually it just goes back to normal.
Wee.
So you haven't been rotating your canvas at all so far?
Not really. No, I do know how to do it.
Okay. Because yeah, mine is set to R. I have to hold R for it to let me rotate like this.
Right.
And then when I want to go back to normal, I hit 1, but I think the normal shortcut would be escape.
Okay.
Do you ever flip your canvas?
Uh, Not usually during these, because usually what I'm making is so hideous and wrong that this it's it's neither worse nor better.
I see.
Flipped.
Like it doesn't change much.
No.
Yeah,
Oops.
flipping has always been a big part of my process. Even before computers, I would put the drawing against the light. I would hold the drawing against the light, try to memorize everything that was wrong with it, and then try to quickly fix it and then do it again.
Wow.
Yeah, always been a huge part. I cannot do a whole drawing without flipping. I actually sometimes I start the drawing flipped because I'm terrible with drawing faces turned to the right side.
Okay.
So if I have to draw someone who's looking to the right, I'll have like a rough sketch. Oh yeah, this is where I want them to be looking, and then I'll immediately flip, do the whole thing because it's just easier for me, and then flip it back to normal. So the cool thing about Clip Studio is that the flip is fake. So even if the drawing is flipped and I save it, it's gonna save in the right orientation.
Yeah. That is nice.
So in Photoshop, whenever I had to flip the entire canvas, it would take a lot of time because it was actually flipping everything. This is a fake one. So I just do it all the time.
Dee Dee's asking if we animate. We did animate like an hour ago.
Yeah, we had a
Yeah.
little animation, but it's gonna be recorded, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. The VOD for this will be available here on Twitch immediately after the stream's done, and also on youtube.com/loadingreadylive, which is where the Loading Ready Run VODs go. It may be a week or two before it ends up there. I'm actually really excited about this funky water edge brush because now I know how to do that.
It's really good. Yeah, it looks so organic.
Yeah,
Like I wouldn't be able to tell that that's a brush.
right?
Yeah, it looks so like it looks so much like like you drew everything.
So now I
Really
know how
good.
to do like books for bookshelves or piles for coins or things
Oh
like that, which are
yeah.
always really irritating to do.
Wow. Yeah, I hadn't even thought of that. Like just lined up books.
Yeah, because
You make like
you can add in the randomizer.
in the randomizer. There was also a setting that I saw for flipping horizontally.
Okay, yeah.
So like you draw a book and then just make like 5 of those and you're done.
The world is my oyster.
Yeah, Gigi, check it out later. It's very basic, but if if you have any other questions or doubts, you can always message me, and I'll be happy to help you. Gigi does amazing pixel art.
Oh,
Let's give it your adventure in high res. Oh yeah, because the other members sometimes I get confused with time zone as well. What I should have done was time, you know, PT time, and then like a little Brazilian reminder that that's 4 hours.
it's Brazil on East Coast.
Yeah, it's 4 hours ahead right now.
Is it all in one time zone?
I think there's some parts of it that are like 1 hour difference,
Okay.
but it's pretty much all covered in the Brazilian time. Brasilia, as in the capital. Okay, starting over my 3 mountains now with solid, opaque black and white. Yeah, Pedro said Brazil is huge but very vertical.
Yeah, and I've just lived in a very wide country my entire life.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that looks nice and clean.
What I'm doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely cleaner. We'll see if that will allow me to have more options.
Hmm. Yeah, let's see if I can get at least some differentiation between coast and water.
Oh, Jules is here. Hey, Jules. I think Brazil is 4 time zones. Really? I had no
Really?
idea.
I mean,
Is it that
some
wide?
places in Canada are like half an hour off.
Oh,
Or like here in BC, the north part of the province sticks with Alberta for daylight savings.
Oh, I see.
I end up talking to a lot of Australians about that kind of thing because kind of similar sized places. Kinda.
Never thought about that. That's so weird. That was a time in our life that Pedro and I we were living in Brazil, but we were working both with our friends here in Vancouver, Mariano,
Yeah.
and with some friends in London.
Oh.
We were doing work for both, so it was like, well, whatever time we just couldn't be on the same time zone as anyone. So every day was our schedule was completely turned. Like we would go to bed after breakfast. Like we would work all night, go have breakfast, then sleep all day because it was too hot in summer. Couldn't work in the afternoon anyway, so just sleep it off and then send work for both companies and have all the feedback being the next day because it was so overworked.
Yeah. When I was in Edmonton, I ended up working with a team that was completely around the world. There's like people in Ontario or down in the States in like Illinois or Texas, and then in the UK and Ireland.
Just all
And
over.
yeah, one of our team leads was in Estonia, I think.
Wow.
And then I took over trying to wrangle a bunch of the translation projects, and they were all like volunteer teams. And so it was like wake up in the morning, talk to people in Czechoslovakia, and then do a meeting with people that had just woken up in like Texas.
Oh wow. Sounds exhausting, but also kind of fun.
It was definitely fun.
Oh, Phil's gone. Sorry, chat. It's dinner time. That's why he was standing right here. Oh, it's not even dinner time yet. What? It's like an hour to dinner time. Yeah,
Oh,
he does that
wow.
every day. Yeah. He just sits here and paws at us like, hey, hey, hey.
Monstrous.
He really is.
Cats be cattin'. I think pretty much everyone that I've had on Can't Draw Horses Club has had a cat. Pretty much everyone.
That's amazing. It makes sense because artists, not all of them, of course, but a big part of artists are sort of introverted personality, usually more on that side. And most of introvert people that I know really like having cats because they're so like cool with staying inside and being quieter than other pets.
And they're nice to snuggle.
Hmm. So nice to snuggle.
Yeah, that's right, Emily. That's the secret. You have to have a cat to draw more.
Is that the lasso Phil being talked about earlier? Yes, that's my cat lasso Phil. I would name a cat after that
That
tool for
tool?
sure. Oh yeah, I love it so much. Okay, this is my attempt
At the
number
mountains.
3 at the mountains.
You can do it.
Did you see my create material shortcut here because
Yeah.
I could never find it in my thing? Mount 1. I don't even care to write the whole name anymore.
Yep.
use for brush, whatever, image material, whatever. Search tag, it's whatever,
Literally.
literally. Do I check any of these two here? Scale up and down and tiling, or is
No.
it not? Okay. Then, okay, so the next one is this one. Wait, do I have to just pick a tag that I've already created?
Yeah, you can, but you do have to check use for brush tip.
I didn't?
You didn't.
Use for brush tip.
I wonder, like, once you've registered the materials, if you can, like, browse them and change the stats.
Yeah, right? I have no idea. Because I would like to save this on top of the other one. So how do I pick a tag that I already created? Do you know?
No.
Okay, I'll just write it again. I think you can browse them, but it's extremely annoying because there are so many, right?
Yeah.
There's like the online ones and mount 3, use for brush tip shape, materials, tag. Okay. Not what? What? Okay. So now we go to brushes, and I have the mountain one that I created. Just make a new one because that might be messed up. Mountain. Oh my god, it's still not
No?
possible. What am I doing wrong, God? Why do you hate me?
Uh,
What am I doing
more
wrong?
stuff to Google. Studio.
I'm gonna Google brush tip options not showing.
Yeah, basically. Whoa. Reinstall.
No! Maybe it's because no, it wouldn't. No, would it? I downloaded the new update the other day, and I try to. I had some errors in the process, and then when I was drawing it, I opened the program. Every setting was there, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess the error wasn't that bad. Everything seems to be working, but maybe not. Maybe that's what broke it. First tip images not working.
Change its brush tip. It's not useful.
Uninstall all CS software, delete all CS. We're not gonna do that.
No.
Forum online. But yeah, it could be because it's saying it gets confused between
Directories?
versions. And since I did get some errors when I was installing the new update, it could be
So,
something
yeah.
like that.
Yeah, it could be the new update, which
Because it
is
was
just the
something,
worst news.
yeah, right? I mean, it was something that I did wrong when I was trying to. The error wasn't in the update itself, the error was when I was trying to back up all of my settings. And the error that I got was related to materials. And I said, who cares about materials? I do now, ironically, but not 2 days ago.
I have found the material browser.
Is it huge?
It's uh on the sidebar for me. It's
Oh, right. It's right here.
this thing. And then the folders are the directories you had options for saving your brushes. So got
Okay.
images.
That's another thing that I remember trying like 2 years ago and not getting it to work was the 3D models.
Oh yeah, I found one. How do I use this?
Well,
Ah!
it's
I just put a man in my scene.
you put a man in your scene and then you pose him in whatever way you want, and then you get to draw on top. So instead of taking pictures of stuff that you need, you just pose exactly like that. But I couldn't do that when I tried. My man wouldn't be posable.
Your knees. Bend. Oh, oh, these rigs are so good. So I've seen people pull in a horse rig that just has like also a gallop animation or different walks.
Oh,
So you can
really?
just put your horse in the scene, set it to whatever frame of its walk cycle you want, and then draw over that.
Oh, wow.
So you can, it's not even just humans.
It's even animals and even like parts of a specific movement. That is super cool.
Just pushing my poses like I was not taught in school. Yeah.
It seems to be working now.
Anyways, yeah, so the the image thing, the mountains are definitely in here, and you can definitely uh poke at the settings. There, yeah, there's my mountains. Mountain settings. Use for brush tip. I can definitely do.
My map has a giant lady on it. Oh, yours has a giant man. That's fine. Our islands are well.
Now these are real
are,
fantasy maps.
yeah. These are like the protector gods of the islands.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this is working fine. I don't know why it wouldn't before. It was maybe 2 years ago. Maybe that's something. It just got fixed. Okay, how do I go back to posing it though? Because I moved it around and I can't pose
It's
them
the
more.
object selection.
Oh, okay.
Wait, 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 wait. I like to make noises for any joint that I'm moving. Wait, 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 wait,
We
wait.
all squeak.
Yeah.
So is there a way to change the camera? Oh. Oh.
Oh.
Whoa.
Cool.
Can I like rotate it with my own hands?
The whole model?
Yeah.
I think
Probably, right?
the controls are in the upper left for that, maybe? Or is it this guide? No, that's
Oh, right. I see it now. Here. Oh my god. That's so cool. What? What's even the shadow?
Yeah. And I'm pretty certain you could move where your ground plane is too.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Oh, it has a grid to help you if you want. What did I do? Oh, okay, I'm moving it through the grid. Jesus. Okay, back to posing it. How do I go back to posing it? Yeah, okay, this is
Boop.
great. So I lower the opacity, I turn it blue, and then I just draw on top, and people think I'm amazing with anatomy. That's perfect. That's all I needed.
Yeah.
They'll be like,
Nailed
"Did you get
it.
colors?" Nailed it.
Well, that's all for the stream today. Thank you all for joining us here on Can't Draw Horses Club. Uh, if you were doing any work on the side and want to post it to Twitter to share with the group, we use the hashtag Can't Horse Club because we're funny. Uh, like to thank Let Fire Rain Down for 32 months of support, and definitely Amora for joining today. And
Thank you for inviting me. This is so much fun. Oh my god.
easy, it's the make art button.
Just make art for me, Clip Studio. I don't want to have to think anymore.
All right. Later today, uh, Loading Ready Run. We're doing Dice Friends. We've got more Candlekeep Mysteries. We got Kathleen GMing with Matt, Cameron, me, and Andy. So look forward to that at 5. And then tomorrow is a bonus stream with Graham and Adam and Ben and Paul. Paul's not tech listed here, but maybe he is. Playing Dark Alliance. So stick around if you wish.
Thanks so much, everyone. It's really fun.
You can find Amora on Twitter at Amora_B. And she's very cool.
Yeah. Thank you. I haven't been tweeting a lot, just mostly retweeting art. But in 10 years or 20, I'll have art for the new game. So
Yeah.
stay tuned.
Perfect. All right. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.